Hello and welcome back to the Start a Glamping Business podcast. Today we have Jeroen, who is the founder, director and owner of AfriCamps, which is a chain of glamping businesses in South Africa. And this is going to be our first South African centric episode. Obviously, there's going to be a whole load of transferable principles to the North American market. Don't you worry about that. So Jeroen, welcome to the show. I've hopefully somewhat got near to pronouncing your name in the right way. I didn't even try with the last name because it would have sounded ridiculous coming from my mouth. But please just introduce the concept of AfriCamps, where you're located, what kind of properties you have, and the kind of guest experience that you look to create.
Good. Hi, Nick. Hi. Nice to meet you. Yeah, you did actually perfectly well with my name. As a Dutchman living in South Africa, I'm very used to people screwing up my name, basically. So no issue there. Yeah, AfriCamps. It's a glamping business that I started with a business partner of mine in Cape Town years ago. We're getting 10 years in 2024. It's a chain of glamping businesses that we started in partnership with private landowners. So we establish our glamping camps in partnership with individuals. We select the best pieces of land with people that can look well after our guests, and we enter into a partnership with them. We install our tents on their property, and they do the hospitality side, and we do the marketing and reservation and concept creation part of the business.
Yeah, and a typical AfriCamp site, what kind of units do you have on there, and how many roughly on each site?
Yeah, we call ourselves like boutique glamping, so it's not those huge glamping sites. On average, we have between 6 to 12 units on an average camp that we develop. We tend to build on working farms. We really like the aspect of showing people where the food is coming from. We like to show a good variety of the country, not only focusing on the game reserves that the country is well known for. I mean, we don't steer away from it, but we like the food aspect a lot. We like to show people like how is a real South African living off their land and be a guest on that private piece of land.
And could you walk us through, let's say, I'm sure each camp is slightly different, but if you could walk us through a typical first day of a guest from arrival to the point that they go to sleep on their first night, what would a typical day look like for a guest at an AfriCamps camp?
Yeah, there are 17 camps in total, and we make quite a point out of it that you can visit each location to have quite a different experience, but overall there are some similarities, obviously. So waking up obviously starts with an AfriCamps breakfast basket, which is an cook your own breakfast basket put together by the landowner, quite often with local ingredients of stuff coming off the farm, and our guests make that themselves. Each farm is doing farm tours. So, for example, if we take a farm in Oudtshoorn, which is well known for the ostriches, we do a lovely ostrich tour there. It's not that touristy, but it's more going to really learn what the ostrich industry is about, how is that working, what kind of products are coming off such farms, and So going on a farm tour, that's definitely one of the experiences that our guests are doing. Also, we obviously the camps that we develop, we try to stay close to tourism destinations. So there's always highlights to be visited, to see the stuff that you need to see. So again, in Oudtshoorn is the Kango Caves, the beautiful beaches. In the Eastern Cape. So local attractions is definitely part of the experience. Coming back to the farm, the tents are again self-catering. In the evening, people order braai baskets. We call it, in North America, I think you call it barbecue baskets, but we call it braai baskets. Barbecuing of braaiing, as we call it, it's a really authentic South African experience. So we made sure that our tents come with a proper stone-built braai onto the decks of our tents, where people can prepare their own meals and share that experience with the kids. We braai or barbecue on real wood, so that's a nice experience, and also especially for the international guests that we quite often welcome. not only South Africans, it's quite often people from other countries, to offer them the opportunity to get through that experience and how do you prepare your meal in a proper South African way. That's very nice to offer them the opportunity to experience that. The evenings, we quite often far from city center, so the night sky is beautiful. So the country is well known for proper star viewing. So it's nice to sit on the deck and to look at the stars and to hear the sounds of nature.
Sounds beautiful. And then tell us a little bit about yourself, your backstory, and how you ended up founding this business.
Yeah, so if you can hear from my accent, probably I'm not an original South African. I'm born in the Netherlands, and I ended up as a student in South Africa, and I absolutely fell in love with the country and started a tourism business about 17 years back. That was more like youth travel, adventure travel. At one point you become a little bit too old to work in the youth travel business and start dreaming about where is my passion at the moment. And I picked up on the glamping trend. So about now 11, 12 years ago, saw that happening in my home country, in the Netherlands. Glamping is huge in the Netherlands. Also saw it happening in America, and I thought, geez, that's quite funny. We see these lovely safari tents that are actually coming from South Africa, completely rebranded, recreated, on farms in America and in the Netherlands. And in South Africa, we only place them still in game reserves. So I picked up on it's nice to bring that concept of the safari tent in the glamping market back to Africa, and to do the same twist here. And I think glamping is just more family orientated than the safari industry that is so well developed in our country. So more family orientated.
Yeah, and what you said there about bringing it back to Africa, that's quite accurate, because we had Sarah Dusick from Under Canvas on this podcast a couple of months ago, and she was very much inspired when she set up her first site in near Yellowstone. She was very much inspired by the African safari camps that she'd been on, so that's absolutely correct. So you've kind of said, you saw a gap in the market and you just did it, but I'm sure there was a lot more to it than that. This whole podcast is kind of aimed at people who are looking to start a glamping business, and they'll be doing a ton of research and facing a ton of obstacles. So could you just walk us through the story of opening your first location in terms of how you found the land, how it was funded, what challenges you ran into, any mistakes you made along the way, etc.?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, we had a nice adventure. It was Africa is not very close to the big world markets. So the first struggle was to find glamping tents that are suitable for our climate. We've got quite a harsh climate. Also, importing stuff is expensive and not easy. We ended up buying a sewing machine and learn ourselves how to make is it difficult to put a window in a piece of canvas, basically? And we found out it's doable. It's not easy, but it's doable. So me and my business partner, we hired an old factory building, and the first 3 months of the business was just trying to build the perfect safari tent for South African climate. We thought it should take 3 months, but it took us probably about 8 months to build the first tent in that little factory. After we finished the unit, we had a grand opening where we invited all our family, friends, and business associates to show what we have created. And of that, there was a business partner who is investing quite a lot in startups. And he saw the tent and he was blown away what we have created. And he was immediately asking, like, what is your business concept? What are your plans with this? And there was our first investor. And that was so highly necessary, because we all know, I can only assume that people listening to this podcast are dreaming to start a business. And we all know that's not a cheap thing to start. The tents are expensive, furniture are expensive. So we had private investors quite early on in the business that funded the first camps. And then going forward a year later, we start shopping around. I mean, we've got an area close to Cape Town, which is very popular, and that's the Cape Winelands, like Stellenbosch area. That's where all South African wines are coming from. So we thought we have this fantastic tent. Let's focus on the Cape Winelands to start there. And so we started knocking doors at different wine farms. And the first owners thought, "Geez, what are these strange Dutch people with a strange idea building tents on our farms?" And actually, not many people were interested, and we didn't have any track record neither, obviously. So from the Cape Winelands, we went deeper and deeper into the country, and then we ended up at the farm quite far from Cape Town, but in Oudtshoorn at that ostrich farm. And this farmer said, "Please do. I believe in you guys. Here's a beautiful piece of land," and it was an absolute stunning piece of land, I must say. And he gave us access, and there was the first camp built.
And was it an instant success, or did it take time to really kind of kick off?
Yeah, it was quite a success, actually. We were happily surprised. Again, we were dreaming to start building in that highly popular Cape Winelands. And we were pushed quite far into the country, more difficult area. But we didn't realize how good that area actually was. And it is very popular with tourists. And again, the quality of the property was very good. Glamping was new in South Africa at that point in time. So also locals were very interested to find out what this trend is about. And we started with quite a bang, I must say. Yeah. Good success.
Hi everyone, Nick from Glampitect North America here, and I've just got a very quick message to announce some extremely exciting news. Since launching in July 2022, Glampitect North America has made a name for itself in the North American glamping industry. We've consulted on over 40 glamping projects, accumulated over 47,000 podcast downloads and plays, and we're now ready to take the next step. And with that, we're absolutely delighted to announce that we're beginning the process of developing our own glamping projects. We want you to be involved. There are more details to come, but for now, we're taking expressions of interest from prospective investors. We're so excited to get this going. It's been a long time coming and we can't wait to get you involved. So all you have to do is fill out the form in the description of this episode and we'll be in touch with more information very soon. We can't wait to hear from you and we'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Your model is interesting because, as you say, you partner with landowners rather than just sourcing your own land and building on your own land. It's not something that we've spoken to too many people about on this podcast, but it's something that is an interesting model. And I myself, I've been involved in groups that have been exploring that model. And I'm wondering if there are any challenges associated or unique challenges associated with that model of finding landowners and working with landowners rather than, say, having complete control of the property. Are there any unique challenges that you have to navigate with that approach?
Yeah, there are. There are many opportunities with that model. And there are many challenges. The opportunities is that your business is scalable straight away. I mean, it's almost like having an Uber taxi. You can have many Ubers, but you don't need to drive them all yourself. And the moment you're that side of the business, you can have a few more vehicles in your portfolio. So that's the same with the glamping business, in my opinion. So the camp owners, the camp or / landowners, as we call them, they operate the business. So they allow us to focus on growth and on marketing, which quite often, if you operate the businesses yourself, you quite often pushed into the finer details of tourism, and then this distracts you from growth and from concept creation. So the opportunity is definitely that we can focus on the concept and on the marketing side of the business. The challenges are, as you already said a little bit, you need to be consistent. So although it is can be of great value that each farm is unique and has their own unique story to tell, you also need to have a very strong brand identity that you need to protect, and a brand quality. And with different individuals, that's not always easy, not undoable, but it's something that you need to protect. You need to make 100% sure that your partners are following your strategy. And for example, we make decisions about how the furniture is in the tent, and that your partner is not saying, "Yeah, but I've got grandma's furniture over and I want to put that in the tent," and your whole concept falls apart. So it's you need to have a very good, well outlined concept. We write that out in standard operational procedures that before we enter into a contract, all partners need to sign that and agree to that, and from there we need to keep control.
Yeah, and presumably, for the first site, you maybe had to take a bit of a gamble and maybe I'm sure your process to figure out whether a partner is suitable is a bit more rigorous now than it was from day one. Maybe I'm wrong, but I imagine you've got more of a system in place for that now. So I'd be interested in knowing what you don't have to, divulge the secret sauce or anything like that. But what does your kind of process look like for figuring out whether a landowner would be a suitable partner, or whether sometimes you maybe have to go, pass up on an opportunity just because it isn't quite the right fit?
Yeah. Yeah, first of all, it's they call it in property. It's destination is preem. So you need to be 100% certain that the location of the farm is that the location is good. Obviously, the benefit of not needing to buy the property, you have a lot of options to decide where you're going to put your investment in. So you can be a little bit more strict in the choices of destination, in my opinion, and you should be, because you don't own the land and all your investment is in basically in thin air. You don't own anything. So the destination is very important. Take your time to get to know your partner. Have a few dinners with him. Find out what their passions and dreams are, and especially obviously what their passions and dreams are related to the hospitality. Are they really dreaming to start this kind of business? And do you both have the possibility to help each other out? Do you have to each of you, do you have to offer something to each other? That's important. Can you add value to every partner? And that's very important to figure out. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you can cast parallels here to people who are looking to just buy their own land and do something themselves, because what you're looking for in a landowner partner is essentially what the more standard model of buy land and build a glamping business entrepreneur would be looking for in, for example, a site manager. The only difference is they'd be hiring them rather than splitting the revenue or the profits with them. So is there anything in particular that you really look for in a landowner partner / site manager that kind of you think would indicate a positive chance of success for that individual glamping site?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And a landowner and his or her family needs to be absolutely in love with their own property and what they're doing on that land. I mean, if they, you can immediately figure it out. If you visit that wine farmer, which we have, and this person is so extremely passionate about the wine that they're making, and they want to tell everybody about the product that's coming off the land. You immediately have that click. Okay, this person is very hospitable, and you can add such a nice story to our product, which we would never, we cannot do that ourselves. So passion. See if there's passion, and if if the owner still is in love with his property and is sharing the same dream as that you are having. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, you've got 17 sites now, and I've alluded to the fact that I imagine you've got more systems in place for site number 17 than site number 1. So I'd be interested in knowing whether there are any significant differences between, for example, the setup process that you employed for site 17 versus site 1. What were the differences in speed, in terms of things that you did right versus things that you did wrong, and just generally the approach that you took that you're taking now that you've got all those learnings behind you, and how they compared to when you were kind of just trying to figure things out, blind almost.
Yeah. No, there's a big difference. First of all, we don't do everything ourselves anymore. So in the beginning, it was me or my business partner joining a construction team to build the camps with the camp owner, and to be really involved with all the little aspects. And I think in the first 4 camps, we have been very involved, and basically living on those farms for 2 to 2.5 months to build the camps. And at a certain point, you need to delegate, and we trained up young guys that can take over and take control now of complete builds. So also, you need to get build trust in people that you don't need to do everything yourself, but other people can take over. Big improvement is logistics. It is important to build quick, because building is expensive. These days, the last few camps that we have built are about close to 2,000 k's away from our head office. So you need to fly your staff up, you need to accommodate your staff on site, you need to cater for them, make meals for them. So it's running like a little village to build the camp. So speed is important to keep that process as short as possible. And a lot starts with logistics. So purchasing and logistics. Make sure that everything is in the truck before a team goes off site.
We've run into we've obviously done so EGH distribution that sell the glamping tents. We've obviously put units up at the glamping show at glamping sites, and I think every business is susceptible to leaving something behind and forgetting to put it in the truck, and the issues that can cause aren't small.
It is really challenging, and I'm not saying that we perfect yet, but we take control of the whole concept. So we not only packing the tents, but we even packing the knives and forks and the bed linen and that sort of stuff. So it's really into the finer details. And in some areas, the shopping centers are so far away. So if you miss something, then it really costs you time and money.
So you just mentioned earlier that for the first few sites that you lived on site for 2 and a bit months, and that actually people that listen to this and will probably be bored of the ads we're running by this point, but we actually are in the process of developing our own resorts, likely starting in Canada. And we probably are going down the more traditional route of buy land and build ourselves. But one thing that I'm expecting to do is live on site for 2-3 months, however long it takes. Just out of pure personal curiosity, really, but I'm sure there's value for the audience as well. What does your day look like in that period where you were really living on site and living and breathing every moment? What were you actually doing in that period of time?
Hard labor.
Excellent. That makes me really excited.
I really loved it. At the moment, I'm more bound to my office and marketing and dealing with staff and all that sort of stuff. But the beginning of the business, like really hard labor, like putting the poles into the ground, dealing with those rocks that you find and you can't dig deeper in, and learning together with your staff, like how do you build this thing? Especially in your first few camps, you learn together with your staff, and I really enjoyed getting my hands dirty together with the staff. You build relationships with your staff members that you never have the opportunity later down the line anymore to go so deep in with your staff. It's really enjoyable, and also the relationships that you build with those owners. Being on their farm and building it together with them, that's really valuable. But it was literally hard labor. It was waking up when the sun is out, when the light is out, and start building, and stop when it is too dark, and have a meal with your team. Go to bed and repeat that for 2.5 months, basically.
Sounds really fun. Thank you. But presumably, you doing that as well now that you are more office based, but presumably it makes you a better leader and more capable of overseeing that whole process from real high up than compared to say if you'd never done that before, you had no clue what it was like on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we are lucky that we still have staff that have been part in those first builds. So again, the relationships that you build with your people, then that's never replaceable. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I was looking at the AfriCamps website and just trying to get a sense for what the business was like, I noticed there that you employ a principle of local empowerment, I could try and introduce that myself, but I think you'd be much better to do it. So could you just tell us a little bit about what that principle is and how it's implemented across your camps?
Yeah, no, we are in a country with an extremely high unemployment rate. Youth employment is a serious issue in the country. So we are actually quite proud that we manufacture our own units, and that's not always from an importer's perspective, that it's difficult to import stuff or a cost perspective, but it's just like if you can make it yourself here locally, you can create jobs out of it, then in our opinion, and that not everybody agrees, but in our opinion, you should do it. So all our canvas and all our furniture, the whole concept is created by young South Africans that we have trained completely new techniques. They come in without skills. Many of them are not schooled. So we learn them how to do canvas work, how to woodwork, a big portion of them how to build on site. And that's really, we are really proud to get them full circle involved, basically, from production to installation. Yeah.
Yeah, and the creation of jobs aspect, that's something that a lot of prospective developers emphasize. Say when they're trying to get the local community on side, or they're applying for permits, they'll say, this glamping business will bring X amount of jobs, X amount of tourism to the area. Is that something that you emphasize in your developments when you're, I don't know how the South African permitting system works, but is that something that you focus on when you're trying to get approvals for these projects?
We try. I mean, to me, to employ local people around your camps is an obvious thing to do, and I don't know if we always a little bit careful with the. I heard the term during a tourism meeting, and they call it greenwashing. Make promises that are obvious. Like obviously, you employ local people around your camp. It's like you're not going to fly people in. So we have local people in our camps, but I think we more emphasize on the fact that the actual units where people are sleeping in and the furniture they sit on is really locally manufactured by young people that we have upskilled, basically.
Hey Glampitect listeners, this is Jacob from EJH Distribution with a quick message about our company. EJH Distribution is a premier provider of event structures, glamping accommodations, and much more. We're a distributor for many manufacturers, one of them being Dewar Tenton, a company that's been around for over 75 years. You may have seen some of their products at the glamping show the past couple years, one of them being the Oak. The Oak is a tunnel tent made of polycotton canvas with an aluminum frame. It sleeps between 4 to 6 guests and is perfect for a family unit on your campsite. We also offer other products like geodomes. These are also made of a breathable polycotton canvas with a large bay window and a beautiful front awning piece. One of our other premier manufacturers is Tubo Spain, which is a cylindrical modular glamping accommodation that provides 360 panoramic views and turnkey options. Perfect for places that have big open skies where you can enjoy night view. We also provide event structures from Creative Structures in the Netherlands, which offer unique dome structures which are modular and can be built in a matter of hours. Perfect for weddings, hosting spaces, and much more. If any of these products have piqued your interest, please feel free to reach out to us at sales@EJH Distribution or give us a ring at 587-987-0115. We'll be more than happy to help you with your project. There will also be a link to our brochure, our virtual showroom, and much more in the description below. Thank you for your time and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Do you run into permitting issues when you're proposing these locations, or is it easier to get things off the ground in South Africa compared to, say, the California over here, which is a nightmare, for example?
Yes. South Africa, it's we have areas like California. So the Cape Winelands, first of all, it looks like California in my opinion. Or wine area is very similar than the Californian wine area. And rightfully so, that area is very, very protected by the Department of Agriculture and even Heritage and those kind of things that would be recognizable in California as well, the same kind of departments. But there is, funny enough, there's not a very nationwide regulation board that has a similar set of rules. So for each camp that we develop in each little town municipality, we need to figure out what is the regulation from this municipality. Is there a regulation? Is there a policing department that taking care of things? If we ever do an application, will we get an answer? So we will figure it out a little bit. We will figure it out per site, but definitely in the Cape Winelands and those kind of areas, you need to get an approval because they,
Yeah, that's a new one. Not wondering if you'll get an answer if you apply for a permit. So you built 17 of these. I'm sure you made a ton of mistakes along the way. I'm sure you've obviously done a lot of things right, otherwise you wouldn't be on camp number 17. But what are the most important lessons you've learned along this journey that you are applying to, say, camp number 18?
That's an most important lesson. I think at the moment we are in control, but never underestimate maintenance. especially if you build a brand and you have high occupancy, which we are having. Make sure if you make money that you calculate a good amount of that money for maintenance purpose as well. Don't pocket it straight, but make a good reserve of to attend to your low season periods, and that you can upkeep your units. That's very important in the industry.
Yeah, and people hear maintenance costs, and they might instantly know what you're talking about, but some people might not know the specifics of what gets broken, what needs to be repaired, how much it costs. So are there any like particularly consistently high in relative terms maintenance costs that you would kind of always account for when for example experiencing high occupancy?
Yeah, we have learned that although you need to maintain frequently, so it's like a little hotel. I mean, if you rent out an hotel room, in my opinion, that room should be repainted every year to keep it fresh. The same is with a glamping unit, and obviously canvas and wooden floors, wooden furniture standing outside in the rain is a little bit more hard wearing. I think that's your main attention. It's to us, wooden floors are it can make a hell of a difference. So to go to the extent to recoat the wooden floor every year instead of every 3 years makes a hell of a difference to the experience of your guests. Canvas wise, we make our units out of a South African canvas, which we are very lucky with. I was very leaning to buy a Dutch fabric of my heritage. The Dutch have very good weaveries.
We can still say the word if you want.
Yeah. The word is using. There's an old weavery in the Netherlands called Tenkate, and they make fantastic fabrics.
They make the words canvas.
Yeah. We it was difficult to import for us. It was expensive, and we went for a South African canvas, and we found out, and it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but the canvas that we are buying, you can repaint. Literally, you can repaint it. And in our climate, I'm actually so happy that we were limited 10 years back to choose a South African product, because we actually painting our canvas units, and they look brand new after we paint them. And that's such a luck, because we deal with a lot of different climates. We've got an area that is quite tropical, rainy, humid, which can create mold issues. We also have extremely hot and dry areas where the UV resistance of the fabric is more important than the mold resistance, for example. So our tents, we really put our tents to a pace.
Yeah. And you've built up a really successful glamping business. Certainly if you were in North America, you'd be among the biggest, and that would make you are amongst the biggest in the world when it comes to glamping. So clearly extremely successful. I'm sure you've probably got no intention of stopping there. So could you just tell us a little bit about what you expect the future to hold for AfriCamps?
Yeah, so Joe, we've got a few plans in the pipeline. We only in South Africa at the moment. And we definitely still have a few areas where we want to be in our country where we are situated. That said, more and more tourists combine their trip to South Africa with a trip to Namibia or Botswana and even Mozambique. So there is an interest to carefully see how does it work cross-border. And the border is quite a visual thing. We're all afraid of it, but how scary is it actually to cross border? So we hope to go through that experience in upcoming years, to maybe have our first Namibian camp situated. Also, we have built the same kind of configuration of tents in the past few years. So it's basically a 5-sleeper. So it's a two bedroom with one luxury parent bedroom, we call it, and a kid's bedroom. And the configuration of the tents has been the same. And also pretty, it is very comfortable, very quirky, and a fun unit, but we would not necessarily call it an extremely luxurious unit. It's fun and quirky, and it works well. But we start to get an interest to also see if we can have an AfriCamps Plus, and see if we can step it one notch up and maybe have a more luxury couple unit. A few of our camps are extremely popular with weddings. So it would be very nice to have a wedding couple sleeping in a slightly AfriCamps Plus unit instead of one of the same units where all the wedding guests are staying in. I think these couples deserve it to have a little bit more luxury. So we're looking forward to develop that. Yeah, that's
I'm looking forward to yeah, it should be great to see where it goes. And if someone does want to get in touch with you, never underestimate the power of this audience. We get some, there may well be a South African landowner in the audience that would love to partner with you, or maybe someone in Namibia or whoever. So if someone does want to get in touch with you for whatever reason, how can they go about doing that?
I think the best is the old-fashioned email. I'm still very much into my email. So it's Jeroen@africamps.com. And if you struggle to spell that, you also reach me via info@africamps.com. That also works.
We'll put the email address should flash up on screen for those on YouTube, and for those on the podcast, then maybe try info@africamps. But yeah, thank you, Jeroen. It's been an absolute pleasure. As I said at the start, definitely a lot of parallels between what you're doing and what North American glamping entrepreneurs are doing. And it's interesting to hear about the new model, and there's obviously similarities between what you have to do in that model versus the more traditional model.
Absolutely.
So thank you again. I'm excited to see where the business goes. I'm sure we'll have you on again at some point, and thank you and best of luck for the future.
Good. Thank you, Nick. It was a pleasure to be here. Yeah.